Moving forward and looking at the engine just a little bit, we also have a bracket that attaches to the side of the head and then bolts to the frame. Camshaft chain tensioner right there. This is identical looking to the old DR-Z. There's a little rubber hose. It's a vent for the engine, crankcase ventilation, I believe. Yeah, there's a hose right here that comes out of the bottom of the engine, and then another one that connects to the top and disappears up behind there somewhere. So if we look at the back side of the radiator, I'll swing my light around just a little bit. We have this big plastic contraption. I have no idea what that is. Right across the top of the head on the far side, right there, is this strange looking clear plastic boot with a bunch of holes in the top, and it's covering a bunch of wire connectors. It is probably just there to provide protection for a bunch of connectors. And I don't really see anything else to point out over on this side. And right here at the top of the shock, on the other side of the bike, sort of, maybe just a little bit just to the left of center, here's our two throttle cables. That goes into a metal bracket, and I'll pull the seat off here in a little bit, but this is throttle cable driven ride-by-wire system. So the throttle is controlled by ride-by-wire, and that system is driven by the throttle cables. So there's a servo motor somewhere in the system that converts, or electronics and plus a servo motor that takes the input from the throttle housing and the cables and then converts it into electrical signal to deliver your throttle opening. I guess that's the easiest way to describe that. So that zip tie right there, I need to trim that off. That is one sharp, nasty looking edge right there. Right here, this black braided looking hose, that is a plastic covering over the rear brake line that connects from the master cylinder here over to that ABS junction block on the other side of the bike that I pointed out earlier. ABS ring, ABS sensor, nothing else too spectacular back here. One thing that's unique is I don't think I've ever seen a bike come from the factory with wheel weights on it. We've got wheel weights there, and I noticed some on the front wheel as well. The wheel is rim whatever. It is pre-drilled for a rim lock. We've got what appears to be a plug for a rim lock stud right there. Just like the old DR-Z, the new DR-Z's seat is secured by a bolt that also holds the side panel in place. This side panel is similar to the other where we have a bolt here. We've got a bolt there, and then we have a bolt down here, and that bolt down here is hidden behind the black plastic piece right there that I need to reinstall. This big heat shield over the top of the exhaust is a nice touch. The top of the exhaust in the old school DR-Z was pretty much exposed from about here all the way back. The rear fender extension doesn't look nearly as bad as it did on the old DR-Z and many other dual sport bikes. Taillight is actually really nice looking. It's tucked right up here under the fender. That's our license plate light. Then we've got a reflector there and then side reflectors. This entire bracket that houses the reflectors is bolted in place to the black plastic piece with the license plate screws. So a person could probably mount their license plate directly to this little black fender piece. Here is a really interesting design feature that I stumbled across by accident watching somebody else's video, and all the different videos that I've watched on YouTube, nobody else has ever mentioned that. But this little slot right here, that is actually a pathway for air to go under the seat into the air box. The reason it's back here, instead of just sucking air in from all around the edges of the seat, is to quiet down some of the intake noise. So let's go ahead and pull this seat off, and then we will look underneath the seat. Looking up towards the front of the bike, we can see the plastic shroud that covers the fuel tank. Just like the old DR-Z, we've got this little metal tab here that is a hook for a little plastic tab on the seat, so you put the seat in positions and then sort of slide the front of the seat up under that little tab. Looking here at the top of the airbox, we have this mess, but there's two great big connectors. Looks like these are little levers to disengage those connectors. Maybe that's part of the computer ECM. I just don't know. Then right here, this little black thing, it's kind of flopping around a little bit loose. That is the handle for the tools, motorcycle toolkit style screwdriver handle. The other pieces that would be used with that is embedded in the back side of the left side panel, hidden behind the black cover that you need the ignition key to pull off. So there's our screwdriver piece right there, and there's our little wrench. You can pull this out and pull this out and use the 10mm or no, the 8mm side to undo the bolts to get your side panel off to check your air filter. Speaking of air filter, this is one thing that I do not like about this new DR-Z is the amount of difficulty required to get access to the air filter. The reason that is such a sticking point with me is because oftentimes during the summer I'll load my trailer, my DR-Z and my KTM, and go out camping for a week at a time, sometimes longer. Like last spring I went down to Death Valley for about 2.5 weeks, and during a long trip like that I need to change my air filter periodically because I'm riding in a lot of dusty environment. And out camping, it is super easy on the old school DR-Z to just twist lock to open those little twist lock fasteners, the Zeus fasteners. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But in a matter of about 5 seconds, you could get access to the air filter. So you could literally just pop the air filter door off the side panel to see if you needed to change the air filter. And if you didn't, you just put everything back together. Much more involved process to get access to the air filter on the new DR-Z. This little contraption right here, it's got the word up on it. This is the tip over sensor. So that is a safety switch so that if the bike tips over, you can't start it right away. I don't know all of the details behind what the delay is, or if you have to turn the ignition off and then back on if you tip the bike over. Once I figure out all the details on this, I'll either put it in the description below or post a pinned comment at the top of the comments. So here we have a connector. This appears to be the connector for the turn signals and the tail light. So we have one main harness that then embeds itself into a channel in the underside of the fender and goes all the way to the back of the bike. So that is a different approach to connecting the tail light and the turn signals. We have everything coming into one main connector. So that is going to make it a challenge if somebody wants to replace their tail light and turn signals. Now I probably should take the bike apart back here and see if there's secondary connectors back there, because there probably is. That's going to be my guess. So maybe it won't be as difficult as I initially think it is.